I think that the main like potential downside slash issue is that it can be hard to just fit a healer, which is part of why the on-field Electro Hyperbloom teams tend to be a bit worse, right? You can do it with Dori, something like C6 Dori, Nahida, Farina, Xingto, and that is actually pretty good. Outside of Dori, it's really hard to fit a healer, so the teams just don't tend to be all that great in my opinion. And yeah, I did just say that Dori is the best character for this team. Dori is the best character. I'm not taking that. I stand by that. C6 Dori is actually a good unit. See anything else Dori is complete dog. But C6 Dori's ability to consolidate healer role and carry role with Farina is now actually pretty good. Another part of the upsides of Dori is that you get to run Nahida because you don't need to run a healer. So obviously if you're playing Dori, Nahida will be a pretty big deal.
2 hours later.
Dori, I would love to get Dori C6. Would love to get Dori C6.
You know, in the Genshin Impact community, we have a lot of very loud voices. We have Let's Players, we have storytellers, we have drama baiters, and then of course we have theory crafters. And I feel like within the theory crafting community, one of the loudest voices there is none other than Mr. Zajef 77. And it is through Zajef 77 that I am rather confident in making this particular proclamation. I believe that it is time that Dori may be finally getting the recognition that she absolutely has deserved pretty much since her release. I know when she first came out, everyone was trash-talking her, but it turns out she's always been pretty good, and it seems like now she's getting that recognition, so that's really nice. Now, of course, this may be in part due to the nature of a particularly strong character that came out in Fontaine. I am, of course, referring to Farina de Fontaine, who, of course, is a character that tends to want to be paired with a healer, and particularly strong healer at that. And sometimes you just want an Electro Healer for your team. And you can't exactly get away with Shinobu. No matter what you do with her, by herself, she just isn't strong enough. But with C6 Dori, Dori is actually strong enough as a healer for some form of a Farina team. Now, in a previous video, I had discussed the power of a full DPS Dori build in a Quick Bloom team with someone like Farina. But over time, I feel like I've actually grown to appreciate potentially putting some more healing on Dori. Not necessarily because, oh my god, we don't actually have enough of the healing, but if anything, having a bit more healing on Dori might actually result in the Quick Bloom team just straight up feeling better to play, number one, but then also number two, actually doing more damage. So, not long ago, I received a healing bonus hat that had some CV, but also a lot of EM. And I've actually been starting to use it quite a lot lately. And I'm actually liking it. Whilst Dori's personal damage does fall by a bit, or a fair bit actually, now that we're looking at it, compared to a crit damage hat, as you would expect, seems to me that due to the healing bonus that is coming with it, the Quick Bloom team does feel a lot better to play. We're here with Dori and Masanori. And yes, that rhymes. Now, full disclosure, I had a previous take of this where I was complimenting about how good Dori's healing is, but then Nahida died by accident. So instead, watch how fast Nahida is being healed by Dori. And we're not even using Dori's lantern. But you can still see like the kind of healing that Dori can do with her lantern. And the amount of healing that Dori can do with just a C6. And this is all in the context of Farina also sapping everyone's health, because that's exactly how Farina works. So not only are we driving Fischl's A4 procs like crazy because it's Dori, but we're also triggering a lot of hyper blooms. And even though I am now using a healing bonus hat, that healing bonus hat does have quite a decent amount of EM. Plus, you could also have Nahida's buff, plus a variety of other things. So, at this point, it may actually be worthwhile, and this is a thought that I'm having in the back of my mind, it may actually be worthwhile for me to forego the Electro Cup in favor of an EM Cup, or possibly even an Attack Cup that has some more crit rate. So that's the conundrum I'm wrestling with myself right now. Do I build her full damage, EM Electro Crit, or do I try to go EM Electro Healing, as I currently am right now? Or do I go EM Healing and maybe have less damage on the aggravates, but have more damage on the Hyper Blooms? Or do I go for EM Attack Healing? I'm probably not going to do that. That doesn't sound nearly as good, but I do have better Attack Cups than I have EM Cups. The thing is, I think Attack Cups might not be worth it though, because even though Attack Cups sound like a good idea, because Dori's normal attack multipliers are kind of weirdly high for a Claymore character, especially a healer at that, the attacks where Dori does more damage, the multipliers where Dori does more damage, they are usually also the ones that aggravate due to her ICD. So at that point, potentially going for damage percent is better anyway, because then you're double dipping, and that's usually better than going for just one stat that only helps one side of an aggravate, for example. Either way, right now, crit, EM, HP percent, these are the main substats that I'm still looking for in my pieces, because HP is actually useful for Dori, especially in a Farina team, because that helps with her healing. Attack percent does come in very closely afterwards though. And for weapons in terms of a Quick Bloom team, due to the lower crit coming in from running a healing bonus hat, I am considering right now using a variety of crit damage claymores, Black Cliff, Red Horn. Those are the kinds of weapons that I'm looking at. Potentially even Beacon of the Raid Season that ever shows up. So right now, that's kind of what I'm thinking of when it comes to playing C6 Dori in a Farina team. Now, that being said, after Farina came out, we also had another character that showed up who's very interesting when paired with Dori for very specific Farina purposes, and that is, of course, Chevreuse. And with Chevreuse, we're not playing a Dendro team, which means we don't have to necessarily deal with all these Dendro shenanigans, and thus it does become a lot more straightforward if you just play full Medic Dori. And if you happen to have C6 Dori, well then you actually have C4 Dori. And C4 Dori, I still maintain, is really, really good, and even in a Farina team, like a Overload team with the higher, C4 Dori is actually really, really strong. And so you end up with a team like this. Now, you absolutely don't need Dori at all for a normal Chevreuse team, if you don't want to play with Farina, for example. But if you are going to play with Farina, Chevreuse is not going to be enough healing for a Farina team in general, but Dori is. And if you happen to have C6 Dori, well, like I demonstrated before, you can also use C6 Dori for the healing as well, so that's really, really nice. Ah! I didn't mean to tap E, but that's fine, doesn't matter. The point is, with C4 Dori, you're healing a lot, and then also with C4 Dori, you're getting a lot more energy from Chevreuse for, in this case, the higher, so that's really, really nice as well. This is currently my favorite the higher team with Farina. It works with other Pyro characters as well. I've done this with Garming, Yanfei, Yoimiya. Basically, if you're ever in need of that additional healing because someone is on the verge of death, you can always swap to C6 Dori and have her tank for a little bit and heal everyone else up simultaneously. Because you are running a full heal build on Dori, she will heal everyone a lot faster than the Thundering Dori build. So it's even better for the healing aspect of things. So that's really, really nice as well. Otherwise, when it comes to build, really, really straightforward. Either 4-piece Song of Days Past or 4-piece Clam. Pick one of those two. They both pretty much feel the same, honestly. I wouldn't really fret about it too much. And then R5 Sack Sword if you can get that. Sack Great Sword. R5 Sack Great Sword. ER Sand. That's it. ER HP healing pretty much is really, really straightforward. I hope this can further shed some light on basically the experience of playing Dori. And keep in mind, especially with Medic Dori, this has always been the case. So if you ever manage to get C4 Dori, that's, I think, when Dori really pops off. And then if you manage to get C6 Dori, oh, that's when you get to have a lot of fun in Quick Bloom teams. But when you have C4 Dori, you pretty much have like just this incredibly strong healer that I have relied on quite a lot, actually, over the... How long has she been out now? Over the however long she's been out. Yeah, C4 Dori has often been just a really, really solid, really, really reliable healer. I've had many, many occasions that have been documented, even recorded and been part of videos, where a character gets hit by, let's say, Mago Kenki and is nearly dead, and then, oh, they're not nearly dead. And that's really, really nice. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Are you starting to play Dori? Because you should. Nick. Okay, now my eyes hurt. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this video, hit that like button. Subscribe for more Genshin Impact action. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.